51 years old. 25 years with the same company. A corner office, a perfect performance record, a team that respected her, and a reputation that took decades to build. And then, a 10-minute meeting, a printed letter, a security escort to the door. Not because she failed, not because her work had slipped, not because she had done anything wrong, because she was loyal. And loyalty, it turns out, only runs in one direction. Margaret Collins grew up in a household where work meant something. Her father spent 31 years at the same steel plant in Dayton, Ohio. Same shift, same foreman, same parking spot. Her mother worked for 22 years as a school administrator in the same district. Nobody in her family talked about career pivots or personal branding or building a portfolio. You found a solid company. You gave it your best years. And the company in return gave you stability, a pension, and the quiet dignity of a job well done. That was the deal. That was what she was taught. And Margaret believed it completely. At 26, she joined Hartwell Associates, a mid-size financial services firm based in Cincinnati. She wasn't the loudest voice in the room. She wasn't political. She didn't spend her lunch breaks networking or angling for visibility. She simply worked, with the kind of precision and quiet reliability that organizations depend on but rarely celebrate. By year 5, she had been promoted twice. By year 10, she was managing a department of 14 people. By year 15, she was the person other departments called when something was broken, when a deadline was impossible, when no one else knew what to do. She was the one who knew where everything was, how everything worked, and why every decision for the past decade had been made the way it was. She became, without ever intending to, the institutional memory of an entire division. She turned down outside offers twice. The first, at year 12, would have paid her 28% more at a competing firm. She declined. She told herself she owed Hartwell her loyalty. The second, at year 18, came with a senior director title and a significant equity package. She declined again. Her manager at the time told her she was being considered for a VP role internally. She trusted that. The VP role went to someone hired from outside. She stayed anyway. "You're the backbone of this place, Margaret," her division head told her at her 20th anniversary review. "I genuinely don't know what we'd do without you." She went home that evening and felt proud. She had made the right choices. She had built something real. She was valued. She was 46 years old and had never once updated her resume. 5 years passed. The company changed leadership twice. A new CFO arrived with a mandate to cut costs by 18% over 2 years. Departments were reviewed. Headcounts were analyzed. Salaries were mapped against market rates for newer hires. Margaret's name appeared on a list she never saw. On a Tuesday morning in March, she was called into a meeting with HR and her division head. She brought a notepad. She thought it was about the quarterly restructuring review. She had been involved in restructurings before. She was usually the one helping plan them. It wasn't about the quarterly review. They told her the company was eliminating her role as part of a broader organizational realignment. They thanked her for her 25 years of service. They mentioned that her contributions had been invaluable. They slid a severance agreement across the table and explained that she had 48 hours to sign. The meeting lasted 9 minutes. She drove home in silence. She sat in her car in the driveway for 40 minutes before she could go inside. 25 years. 9 minutes. 40 minutes sitting in a car trying to remember who she was outside of a job that no longer existed. Margaret wasn't the only one living this story. David was 54 years old. He had worked at a manufacturing company in Columbus, Ohio for 31 years. He had trained 3 generations of floor supervisors. He had stayed through 2 recessions and 4 ownership changes because he believed in the company's mission and because he thought that kind of commitment meant something. He was laid off by email on a Friday at 4:47 p.m. By Monday morning, his access card no longer worked and his company email had been deactivated. He received a form letter in the mail the following week, thanking him for his service. Priya was 48 years old, 22 years at a healthcare logistics firm in Atlanta. She had built the company's supplier coordination system from scratch, a system that was now central to how the entire operation ran. She was replaced, without warning, by a software platform that the company had been piloting for 8 months without telling her. She discovered her termination when her login credentials stopped working on a Wednesday afternoon. Her manager did not call her. HR sent a meeting invite. 3 people, 3 companies, 3 decades of combined loyalty, 3 exits that took less time than a lunch break. This was not bad luck. This was not a coincidence. This was the system functioning exactly as it was designed to function. Fact 1. The concept of corporate loyalty was never a mutual contract. It was a management strategy. Research spanning 4 decades shows that between 1980 and 2023, average employee tenure at large American corporations dropped from 11 years to 4.1 years, while those same companies continue to use words like family, loyalty, and long-term commitment in their recruitment materials. The messaging existed to attract employees. The operational reality was entirely different. Fact 2. Employees who remain at a single company longest consistently earn less over their careers than those who change employers regularly. Data from multiple labor economists, including research cited in Forbes, Harvard Business Review, and the Bureau of Labor Statistics, shows that job switchers earn on average 10 to 20% more per career move than those who stay and wait for internal advancement. The raise you get by staying is almost always smaller than the raise you would get by leaving. Loyalty is not rewarded, it is managed. Fact 3. When companies conduct layoffs and restructurings, the employees most statistically at risk are often the longest tenured. Not because their performance has declined, but because their salaries have grown over decades, while newly hired employees can be brought in at significantly lower market rates. The longer you stay, the more expensive you become relative to a replacement. Loyalty does not protect you. In many cases, it makes you a target. Fact 4. Severance agreements are legal documents designed primarily to protect the company. Standard language typically includes a waiver of your right to pursue legal claims, a non-disparagement clause restricting what you can say publicly, and a deadline, usually 21 to 45 days, but frequently presented with informal pressure to sign immediately. The moment of signing is the moment when you are most emotionally destabilized and least equipped to evaluate what you are agreeing to. Margaret signed within 48 hours. She later discovered, through a conversation with an employment attorney, that she had legal options she was never informed existed. Fact 5. The psychological damage of a long tenure layoff is categorically different from and significantly more severe than a short tenure exit. When your profession with an employment attorney, that she had legal options, she sense of personal worth have been built inside a single organization for decades. When you have turned down outside opportunities, shaped your friendships around colleagues, and organized your life around a role. Losing that position is not simply a financial disruption, it is an identity collapse. Margaret did not lose a job. She lost the structure around which she had built her entire adult life. And no one in that 9-minute meeting acknowledged that. Not once. Margaret spent the first 6 months after her termination barely leaving her house. She had no updated resume. She had no LinkedIn profile. She had no professional network outside of people who had worked at Hartwell, most of whom were now navigating their own uncertainty after the restructuring. She had spent 25 years building something extraordinary inside a company that no longer wanted her, and had built almost nothing outside of it.
She was 51 years old, and she felt completely invisible.
Then, one evening in October, her daughter sat down across from her at the Kitty-on with an employment attorney. That she had legal options, she asked herself. Mom, what did you actually learn in 25 years? Not what you did for them. What do you know now that belongs entirely to you? Margaret didn't answer right away. She went to her desk, opened a notebook, and started writing. She wrote for 3 days, 14 pages. Systems she had designed, processes she had built from nothing, crises she had navigated, decisions she had made under pressure that had saved the company, outcomes she was never officially credited for, skills she had never named because she had always framed them in the context of the company rather than in the context of herself. She rewrote her resume,
Not as a record of jobs held,
but as a document of what she cashed with an employment attorney, that she had legal options, she had left Hartwell years earlier and were now working independently. She told them honestly what she was looking for. Within 3 months, she had 2 serious conversations. Within 5 months, she had signed her first consulting contract, working for herself, setting her own schedule, billing by project rather than by salary, and earning more per month than she had made in her final year as a full-time employee. At 52, for the first time in her adult life, Margaret worked for Margaret. She doesn't regret the 25 years. The work was real. The skills were real. The relationships were real. What she regrets is that no one ever told her to build something for herself at the same time. She regrets that she confused loyalty with safety. She regrets that she declined 2 opportunities that would have made her stronger, more independent, and better positioned, because she believed the company's investment in her mashing with an employment attorney, that she had legal options, she didn't break her. It just finally showed her, in 9 minutes and without meaning to, exactly what she had been worth all along. Were you ever loyal to something that was never loyal back? Did someone ever make you feel like staying was the safe choice, when leaving was the one that would have actually protected you? Tell us in the comments, because you are not alone, and your story matters more than their severance agreement. Subscribe, because the truth doesn't advertise itself.